So Oregon's got their latest 2026 recruitment here, and I think Kodi Greene is absolutely capable of being a starting left tackle by his second year. Is that projecting out to 2027? Yes. Could he be a guy that starts in 2026 as a true freshman? Absolutely. I think this is a great place for Oregon to be at with their early jump start on the 2026 cycle. And if you go back to this time last year, they had an early jump start on 2025, which I have talked about at different points over the last couple months as being a top 5 class, the best class in program history, or the number 1 class in the country. These sorts of efforts, they have to start early. Some people might say it's ridiculous to talk about this, that, and the other thing, but the staff is recruiting well. So Kodi Greene, 6'6", 285 pounds, which is a little bit lighter, I think, than you are going to need to be by the time he gets to high school. Good news is he is going to play his junior season this year. Not his senior season, his junior season. So he's got some time. And he comes from, another drum roll please, Mater Dei High School. What do you know? Have you heard of that one before, Duck fans? Have you heard Mater Dei High School to Oregon as a connection? Because here we are again, Groundhog's Day, but in the best way possible. He is a top 40 player in the class of 2026 right now. He's a top 10 offensive tackle. This is a position group that you always want to recruit at a high level. You can never have too many offensive linemen in any recruiting class, quite frankly, because depth can be really important, and you need 5 guys that can play, and there aren't that many other positions. Well, really, you need 6 or 7. That's what Oregon's had the last couple of years. But he's the first offensive tackle, and the second lineman, there's Tony Cumberland, the 5-star defensive lineman, committed as well. And he's the 4th overall commit in the class of 2026. And I always marvel at how crazy it is that you haven't finished up the 2025 class. You still have several months to go. You're trying to get in touch with certain players, some of whom I'm going to talk about here in just a moment. And yet, you have to be recruiting in 2026. Because if you don't, then somebody else is going to. And I asked our guy, Brian Smith, what he saw from Kodi Greene on his tape, because I was pretty darn impressed with what he brings to the table. He said, quote, "Great feet, good hip power, especially for his age, solid arm length, and bends pretty well." So I think that for Greene, the reason I look at him and see someone that can be a starting left tackle one day for the Ducks, his athleticism to me is crazy. And far be it from me to draw a one-to-one comparison to Penei Sewell. I don't know the last offensive tackle commit whose tape I watched and thought, yeah, that's a Penei Sewell type of guy. Now, Josh Connerly comes to mind, but even they were different. The coordination and the footwork that Greene employs, I think, is really, really good. And the way that he doesn't just throw his weight around, but he knows how to generate the most amount of power, he's a crazy good athlete. Crazy, crazy good athlete. And he has a composite score on 24/7 Sports of .9773. Penei Sewell's was .9709. Now, Penei, by the time he really started playing tackle at Oregon, was about 40-ish pounds heavier than Kodi Greene is right now. But this is a guy who was looking at several other high-profile schools. I believe LSU was in the mix, and there were, I'm just double-checking real quick. LSU was in the mix. I mean, he got offered by everybody there, and Oregon ends up getting him. And look, is there a long way to go in his recruitment? Yeah, of course. But I think that for for Greene, no, LSU did not offer. Texas A&M, that's what I was thinking of out of the SEC. There's a long way to go in his recruitment, and it's really easy to disregard a name like this who isn't going to come to campus for a couple of years. But if you think about what that 2026 class is already looking like, they've got a quarterback, Jonas Williams. They've got Tredarian Ball, the running back, who is also a deadly pass catcher. 2024 5-star receiver Gatlin Bear is on a 2-year mission this year, next year. So he comes in 2026. Got to keep loading up recruiting classes, and Kodi Greene along the offensive line is a really, really good starting point. USC was also, of course, in the mix because it's a Mater Dei guy. And once again, Oregon beats out USC for Mater Dei. You make of that whatever you would like. But really nice pickup for the Ducks on the trail. great work by Lake Terry, and I hope they're able to keep that guy committed. But back to the mailbag here and questions about this 2025 recruiting class. And if you ever want a comment or a question answered here on the show, drop a YouTube comment, hit me up on X, formerly known as Twitter, or if you want priority access and all sorts of other perks, go join the flock over at Subtext, that link in the description below, wherever you listen to or watch this show. Dylan sent this in about a week ago or so, week or two, with regards to what Oregon's, kind of dream recruiting class could look like here. And Dylan's going optimistic. Keep everyone we have committed. Well, Isaiah Mosey flipped to Nebraska. As I talked about yesterday on the show, Oregon's wide receiver room is still in a really, really strong position. So I think they're going to be okay there. Keep everyone we have committed. Land McNutt. Fact check, true, or fact check done, I guess is the expression that's most appropriate there. Land Jonah Williams. That is an ongoing recruitment for the Ducks. Linebacker / safety, 5-star. Texas A&M's a big player there. Baseball is a factor there. And Coach Waz has had plenty of conversations with Jonah Williams. The pitch has been made, and it's just one of those ongoing battles with Texas A&M. Flip Lincoln Cure from Kansas State. I'd be pretty surprised. I wouldn't be entirely shocked. Oregon did that with Elijah Rushing in this 2024 class. He committed to Arizona, and Oregon fans kind of looked around like, wow, really? Arizona? That Arizona? Really? And I was like, well, I mean, they got T-Mac once upon a time, and he was down to Arizona and Oregon, and it's worked out very well for his career. But I wouldn't anticipate flipping Lincoln Cure. Crazier things have happened, though. Flip one of Pickett from LSU or offered from Ohio State. Low and 4-star defensive tackle, 3-star defensive tackle, couple other low-end 4-stars or surprise flips on signing day that are higher-end 4-stars, and land Terry. That's Michael Terry III, the 5-star athlete. So that's a pretty extensive wish list. I don't think Dylan is expecting, at least Dylan, I hope you're not expecting Oregon to make all of those moves. Of course, Trey McNutt, you can cross that one off of the list. Naeem offered flipping from Ohio State, incredibly feasible. That's a 5-star defensive back that could add to what is a loaded lineup of DBs in the 2025 class for the Ducks. I think between Naeem Offord, Jonah Williams, and Michael Terry III, landing at least one would be really, really good. Landing two probably seems like the max. I would think Oregon lands none of them before they land two. But I would be a little surprised if they don't land at least one because of the recruitments, how long Oregon's been in the mix, and the way that they've generated momentum on the trail. I think landing Trey McNutt, as I talked about last week on the show, is really, really important for the final ranking of this 2025 recruiting class. And McNutt is also a really, really high-end impact player. But one thing that continues to be clear is Oregon's going to have a smaller number of commits in the class of 2025 than they have in either of their previous two. So their 2024 class, they had 26 commits. In 2023, they had 29. And currently in 2025, they're inside the top 10, but they're only sitting at 14, even with Trey McNutt. Now, 3 of those guys are composite 5-stars. Dorian Brew lost a 5-star, but whatever. He's still a really, really good football player. That's why they're still in the top 10. But if they land another 5-star guy, I think you bring the top 5 angle into the discussion. It's currently sitting 9th overall in the composite rankings on 24/7 Sports. So I think they're in a really, really good place. Michael Terry, Jonah Williams, Naeem Offord. Those are the 5-stars that are still out there for Oregon. It seems like they've been really making a lot of swings at those sorts of guys all throughout this recruiting cycle. So I expect them to do that. I think they probably get one. I don't have a feel right now personally on which one is most likely, but between Jonah Williams, Naeem Offord, Michael Terry III, I think Oregon will be able to land one of those guys. They'll add another 5-star. It'll be the most 5-stars Oregon's ever had in a cycle, and it will then be locked into a top 10 class and pushing for a top 5, and then you see what happens around National Signing Day.